Folks, there are 206 bones in the human body. Yeah, 206 bones in the human body. The good news is, whatever's in the right side is the same as on the left. Same. So at the very least, or at the very most, you would have to study 103, right? So I don't mean to scare you. Actually, I want to make your life much easier. And I want to tell you something else. There are
206 bones, yeah.
206 bones. In your hand, there are 27, hand and wrist, there are 27 bones in each hand. Together, 54. So when you just study the hand, you studied 1/4 of all the bones, a little bit more than a quarter of all the bones. You take feet, feet have 29 bones. Together, what is it? 58. 58 bones. So between hand and feet alone, you have more than half of all the bones. And whatever is on one side is on the other. So everything else is incidental. I'll give you some more freebies. There are 12 ribs on each side. That makes 24. So there are 24 bones by the same name. So one name to remember, and you just memorize 24 bones. You got 7 bones of the spine and the neck, 12 in your chest area, 5 in your lower back, all by the same name. 7 plus 12.
7 plus
19, plus 5, 24, another 24 bones by the same name. Only one name to remember. So you got ribs, 24 bones, and you got your spinal bones, another 24 bones, all by one name. That's 48 bones with only 2 names to remember. So is it difficult to remember all 206 bones? No. Don't get frightened. People who don't know how to teach the skeletal system, will frighten you. I'm here to make your life easy. So, here's how it goes. All right? The skeleton is divided into 2 parts. They call it the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Let's start with, first things first, skeleton. The word skeleto means frame in Greek. It is made up of bones. Medical term for bone is osteo. When 2 or more bones come together, they form a joint. No, it's not anything that you smoke. Okay? So when 2 bones come together in one place, 2 or more bones, they form a joint. Medical term for joint is arthro. Perhaps you've heard of a disease called arthritis. The thing that makes the joints move are muscles. Okay? Medical term for muscles is myo. It's not euro, it's myo. It's kind of like a lame joke, right? Now, muscles are connected to bones. Muscles connect to bones by tendons. No medical term for tendons. And bones are held together to one another by ligaments. And ligaments bind bone to bone. I don't know about you, but when I make chicken soup or fried chicken or whatever, I like to chew on the ends of the bone. Anybody else like to do that?
Yes.
That stuff on the end of the bone, kind of shiny, glossy stuff. Anybody else like to eat that? It's called cartilage.
Oh, yeah.
They call it gristle in the kitchen, but it's cartilage. So,
Yes.
Between the...
yeah, They make the joints slippery and smooth
like
to
the
move.
glue between.
Yeah, well, kind of, yeah. It's like this, thing that makes the joints move.
To make the
When you
movement
begin to
easy.
run out of this stuff, you get arthritis. Okay, and this stuff, cartilage, is called chondro. C-H-O-N-D-R-O, chondro. These are main medical terms for this. By the way, for skeletal system, I want to give you one more root. Ortho. Like, for example, a doctor that works on your skeletal system is an orthopod or orthopedist. The field of medicine is called orthopedics. Ortho does not mean bone. It means straight. So when you need to go have your teeth made straight, you go see an orthodontist. Orthodontist simply means straight teeth. Cool? Okay? Let's study the bony structures. I'm going to spare you the bones of the skull. There's no need for you to know them. Okay? Even though there are 6 bones that make up the skull. Skull being the box that holds the brain. Okay? Can I erase this?
Wait, no.
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Erase.
Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure that you record every morsel of my brilliance. As you can see, by the way, as we're learning, as we're progressing, even though we're learning about human anatomy, we're also learning the terminology. The lessons of terminology never end in this class. We keep adding new words as the class goes on. Okay, so don't dwell on the fact that, oh my goodness, we didn't cover the entire chapter 5. Believe me. You know what? This is much better than chapter 5. And by the way, in the chapter 5, or is it chapter 4? I don't recall. I don't care. We have the picture of the skeleton. But I would prefer you to do what I'm doing, because frequent repetition and drawing and writing actually helps you memorize. Okay? Simply looking at it in the book may be good for some, but it's not good for most.
Repetition, yeah.
Repetition.
That's
Remember, 15-20 minutes a day in the bathroom. Think of me.
right. Okay.
Okay, so, skeleton. We start off with the skull, right? That's the skull. You can see how wonderful the picture is, right? And then the skull connects to the bones of the spine, and they kind of end like this. Spine is subdivided into 3 sections. The neck section, chest section, and the lower back section. Neck section contains 7 bones, chest section contains 12 bones, and the lower back section contains 5 bones. What kind of bones am I talking about? I'm talking about the bones called vertebrae. I want you to pay particularly close attention to the suffix AE. Suffix AE is the same thing as the suffix S on the end of the word, bless you, which means plural. AE is the same as S, which stands for plural. So, we have so far calculated 24 vertebrae. Coming out of the chest vertebrae, we have ribs. You know, they kind of look like this, one on top of the other. Okay? We have ribs coming out. 12 pairs of ribs. Men and women have the same number of ribs. And believe me, I believe in the story of creation. Okay? Men do not have one fewer ribs, or is it women that... We both have the same number of ribs. Trust me, I looked. Okay? So, ribs. Medical term for ribs, as I mentioned earlier, is costo. There are 24 ribs, or 12 pairs. So, 24 vertebrae, 24 ribs. This guy right over here on the end, we have this bone called sacrum and coccyx, also known as the tailbone, C-O-C-C-Y-X. Sacrum and coccyx.
That's the tailbone, you said?
Yeah, yeah. You can feel it. If you stick your hand
Oh,
down
yeah.
below over there,
Yeah.
you feel that pointy part.
Small.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts. You know, you get nailed in that bone, it hurts. Oh my goodness. I remember as a kid, I fell down on a skate,
Oh my God.
and my leg twisted like this on a skate, and the skate where really went up, you know, my coccyx.
Oh God.
It didn't go up the other part. It hit the coccyx. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, I couldn't sit for a week.
Yeah.
I
know
was in
that's
so
how
much
it
pain.
is,
I really thought I broke something.
yeah.
Turns out that my mother told me she did the same thing when she was a kid. I guess it runs in the family. My kids don't skate. All right. So that's what they call the axial skeleton, but we don't have to care about that. The word axial comes from the word axis, you know, like axle, or the axis that around which the earth rotates, okay? So on this axis, we grow what they call appendicular skeleton. The word appendicular simply means appendages, which is arms and legs. Are you prepared? Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Easy so far, right? I didn't do the head, the skull, or the facial bones. I didn't do those. We don't care about them. That's not important for us right now.
But there's 22 of them in the head, right?
There is 6 bones of the skull. Let me see. The face, we have 3 bones of the jaw, ethmoid, sphenoid, 5, zygomatic bones, 7, lacrimal bones, 9, nasal bones, 11, 17, 17 plus 6 bones of the ear, that makes it 23.
23.
So 23 of the head.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So 23 bones. We can just put 23 right here. There. I can never remember the count. I can name them. I just don't remember how to, you know, what's the count. So each time for me it's new. Lucky for me, every time I get the count right. So now we'll do the arms and legs. Easy stuff. I mean, really easy. How's your arm?
Fine.
All right, we're going to start off with the upper extremities. Okay? Arms and arms rather. So arms, what do we have? We have shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand, right?
Yeah.
That's all. Now let's talk about the bones that make them up.
Shoulder.
Yeah. So let's start off with first. You know what? Do me a favor. Kind of move your shoulder around a little bit like this. You feel some bones moving. You feel some bones moving in your back, right?
Yeah.
That's your shoulder blade. You feel your collarbone moving, and you feel this guy moving, right? There are 3 bones. We start off with the odd-looking bone. That's your shoulder blade. That's in the back. Kind of looks like this. All right, that's your shoulder blade. You got the collarbone in the front, coming up like this, into the shoulder joint, and then you got your humerus, or your, you know, what they call the funny bone. So these are 3 bones that make up your shoulder. By the way, the clavicle, this is this bone right over here. This is the clavicle. This is the scapula. And this is the humerus. You can see why they call this bone the funny bone, because it kind of sounds like the word humerus, and it's pronounced the same way, humerus, except the word funny, which is humerus, is Humerous. Now, clavicle attaches right over here to the breastbone, which is also known as the sternum. That's where all the ribs come into. All right, because the ribs go on either side. Okay, so the shoulder joint is this guy right over here, which is comprised of the clavicle, scapula, and the humerus. So far, so good? Are we together?
Mhm.
Then comes the elbow joint. The elbow joint has two bones. One is called ulna, and one is called radius. They come into the wrist. In the wrist, we have 8 small bones. No, you don't need to know every name of these bones because lucky for us, they're called by the same name. And even though each one has its own name, for our purposes, we simply call them carpals.
Carpal tunnel.
That's right, carpal tunnel. Carpals, there are 8 of them. Now, coming out from carpals are the bones that make up the palm of your hand. If you make a fist and count how many knuckles you have, starting from the one that goes to your thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 5 of these special bones that make up the palm of your hand, and they're called metacarpals. From metacarpals, we have all the bones that make up your fingers. There are 14 of them, all by the same name. Amazing. So, 1, 2 of your thumb, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And they're called phalanges. 14 of them. 14 phalanges, 8 carpals, 5 metacarpals, 3 names for 27 bones. 14 of which are phalanges, which make up your fingers. If you make a claw and then look at it, you'll see how many folds your fingers have. Yeah? Huh? 14. 3 in each finger except the thumb, which only has 2. That's all for the upper extremities. That's it. Clavicle, scapula, humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. And the same thing on the other side. And now, lower extremities. Ready?
Yep.
Let me erase this. If this was easy, lower extremity is just as easy. Just a couple of extra bones. Not too many. Actually, just 3 extra bones, comparatively speaking. Lower extremities begin with an odd-shaped bone. Is the pelvis. And remember your sacrum over here and your spine kind of go into here. Alright? So that's your pelvis. Pelvis is made up of 2 halves, so we count them as 2 bones. Now, the hip joint originates from here. This is a much better picture than in your book. And then we continue with some of the other bones here. So let's start. So this guy is called the pelvis. This guy, which is the longest bone in the body, is called the femur. So these 2 bones make up the hip joint. Just 2 bones. Nothing to worry about. Then we go to the knee joint. And in the knee joint, we have a couple of bones going down. 1 goes down, 2 go down to the lower leg. And then we have 1 more round bone right over here, known as the kneecap, and that's called the patella, or kneecap. And then we got tibia, and fibula. And then we have your ankle and foot. I'm going to draw it sideways a little bit. We have our heel bone, which is part of these little bones here that are called tarsals. Remember how we had carpals in the wrist? Well, we have tarsals in the foot, in the ankle and foot. And this guy right over here, the heel bone, even though it's also one of the tarsals, but because it's such a specialized and unique bone, they give it a separate name called the calcaneus. From tarsals, just like we had metacarpals in the hand, we have 5 bones that make up the foot, and they're called metatarsals. And guess what we have coming out from the foot, sticking out forward? Toes. Toes, like fingers, are made up of phalanges, and also 14 of them. The big toe, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All together, 14 phalanges. 5 metatarsals. 7 plus 1 tarsals. By 1 I mean 1 calcaneus. Okay? Now, one more thing I'm going to mention to you, that the foot has a few extra bones. Okay? If I were to look at my foot from the bottom up, actually your foot also, over here at the ball of the foot, we have 2 very small bones. They look like sesame seeds. And they call them sesamoid bones. Sesamoid bones. By the way, look at this. The suffix oid on the end means looks like. Suffix oid equals or means looks like. What does it look like? Sesame. That's why they call them sesamoid. Looks like sesame. Sim sim. Yes?
Yeah.
And that's it. These are lower extremities. That's all there is to it. How many names have we did we have to learn to basically learn all the bones in the human body except the head? Not a whole heck of a lot. So far we have 183 bones plus 23 bones of the head and the ear, and we're done with everything I need you to learn for the human bones. I mean, that's it. There's nothing else. Is there going to be a lot of this information on the test? No. Are a lot of the instruments called by these names? Yes. Absolutely. Instruments made for specific things, for specific bones, for specific procedures, are called by the bones that they're named after. Many muscles are named after the bones which they follow, okay, or refer to. So that's what we have. Any questions? Let's kill this. Thank you.